In the virtual worlds that Sean helped create, he is also being mourned by countless competitors, collaborators, and gamers who shared his passion.
On the night of September 11, 2012, the American diplomatic mission at Benghazi in Libya was attacked by a heavily armed group, resulting in the death of 4 Americans: U.S. Ambassador J. Christopher Stevens, Glenn Doherty and Tyrone Woods, 2 former U.S. Navy SEALs, and Sean Smith, an information management officer with the United States Foreign Service. While the resulting media firestorm erupted, the shock for some EVE players was particularly personal.
Sean was famous in the game because he was not just a very good diplomat, but he pulled off a lot of political coups and had essentially won us a major victory in what's called in EVE the Great War.
And you've expressed, frustration on your site in terms of sort of just the events in Benghazi being exploited for this side and as a weapon. Absurd thing being Glenn Beck calling out like, oh, Goon Swarm is a CIA front and he was secretly an agent. And
confronting it, dealing with the fact that Mitt Romney tried to almost immediately latch on to what had happened in Benghazi and use it to, Sean was not a conservative.
It's like he was doing all that work of like training diplomats and providing these like incredible opportunities for people. So has that sort of weirdly elevated itself just by virtue of this process, and do you feel tied to that responsibility as well, I guess?
I mean, we feel a huge sense of responsibility in making sure that what we achieved in the first decade, we're gonna even exceed in the second decade. Because, our players continue to race ahead of us in terms of the amazing things they're doing in the game. And just keeping up so that we continue this journey of really sort of exploring how far we can go with these paradigms. Sometimes we've taken too big of a steps, sometimes we've taken too small steps. We feel a huge sense of responsibility to that journey.
Even Sean's enemies in the game, when the Benghazi thing happened, it was so horrible, everybody knew who he was and respected him. Right, everybody understood that this was a real dude. I think got $127,000 raised very rapidly in order to ensure that Sean's 2 kids, Nathan and Samantha, are set up well for college. EVE is one of the only games where you can make decisions that don't just mean that you killed an NPC. You can pull strings, you can think, you can manipulate, or you can befriend, you can bestow gifts on people, you can be kind, you can compromise, you can really reshape the way that thousands and thousands of people interact with each other, and they will remember you, and there is consequence behind it. And you can interview players and talk to them about stuff that happened in 2008 and 2009, and they'll tell you like, well, this alliance likes this alliance, and these alliances are going to war because of stuff that happened way back then.
It sort of makes sense to us now. I'm speaking in the benefit of having spent a decade sort of wrestling with this topic with millions of people that have come into the EVE universe. Like, if people are tattooing Guristas bunnies on themselves from a computer game they passionately enjoy, like it is reality. I was preparing some stats for the EVE keynote, and we have now crossed 1 million man-years that people have sort of poured into the EVE universe. Which is like, okay, 1 billion man-years into a computer game, is that people misunderstand a lot what they are, and especially games like EVE. You read 5 books and people think you're smart, you watch 5 television miniseries and people think you're wasting your time, and you go and play EVE Online for 5 days and you rally people together around a mission, you build trust relationships, you challenge yourselves, you exceed your goals, do amazing amount of just real concrete things that some people frankly don't even get a chance to do in real life because it's poorly designed. We see that as our governments struggle with maintaining monetary systems and people sort of getting disenfranchised from all the establishments that are struggling just to sort of scale and make sense and give people sort of purpose and context. But in EVE Online, people are doing it for themselves. They're defining the future.
The challenge here for us is to say, how can EVE still be interesting and not become real life itself?
Where we're destroying the earth with our obsession about thinking physical things should be toyed with.
We are creating an alternative universe that offers alternative experience. So in fact, we don't want real life regulations to impact what happens in the world.
Right.
Because as soon as we start opening up the Eve universe or our virtual universes towards reality, then you open up the question, well, is it really not just reality?